The Pioneer League is an independent baseball league that's based in the Rocky Mountain region, which will be clearly evident when you see some of the beautiful scenery that these ballparks have as their backdrop. With that being said, here are the Pioneer League ballparks. Dealer Park, home of the Billings Mustangs. It was built on the site of its predecessor, Cobb Field, which was 75 years old when it was demolished in 2007. The standout feature of this ballpark isn't in the ballpark, it's just a stone's throw away, where there are some stones. Well, a rocky outcrop known as the Rim Rocks, which provides a spectacular backdrop. Fittingly, there is also plenty of stone used throughout the construction of the ballpark. The design is rather modest, but it's quite nice, especially if you have a particular interest in concourses, because not only is it quite wide, but it wraps around the entirety of the field. Canteen Stadium, home of the Great Falls Voyagers. The town isn't named after Humpty Dumpty, but a geographical feature located nearby. Well, the many waterfalls nearby. The one that's right near the ballpark is Black Eagle Falls, which is part of the Missouri River, although you can't actually see any of that due to the ballpark being elevated above. Canteen Stadium has the smallest capacity in the league, and that's not surprising, considering that the town does look like it's quite isolated. Although it is actually Montana's third largest city behind, well, there's Billings that we just had, and I believe the other one is it a place called Hanna? I hear people mention Hanna, Montana from time to time. People seem to hate it for some reason. But it's not a bad little ballpark considering its age. Well, it was fully renovated in 2005. Melaleuca Field, home of the Idaho Falls Shookers. It was built on the site of McDermott Field. Once again, just like Cobb Field, it was very outdated and kinda ramshackle. The new stadium's exterior has kept with a traditional red brick with hits of green aesthetic, and overall it looks pretty good. There's a bit of an interesting seating situation over here that you don't see too often. I believe that it's reserved for those who are having a picnic on the lawn there. It seems like your nice, friendly neighborhood ballpark. Ogren Park at Allegiance Field, home of the Missoula Paddleheads. Ah, Missoula, that's the other one. This one is the closest to the river so far, so I guess the name Paddleheads is quite appropriate. But the river is less remarkable than the Rocky Mountain backdrop, which is quite picturesque, particularly Mount Jumbo off to the right. And the perfect place to take in that view will be the grass berm that's perfectly facing that direction. And also off to the right is a train track which sort of cuts the stadium off. This is compensated by a sizable boundary wall. It's a nice little ballpark in an even nicer location. Memorial Stadium, home of the Boise Hawks. So far most of the stadiums have been located next to beautiful natural features, but this ballpark is right next to a trailer park, or an RV park to be precise. But in fairness, on the other side of the RV park is the Boise River, so that's something. The design is fairly bare bones as you can see. It looks just as portable as the many RVs nearby. The seating consists of 3 stands that don't have much going on, but I'm sure it's still a nice place to watch some baseball. Simplesio Field, home of the Grand Junction Rockies. Wow, this is unique. It's not near an RV park, but instead Lincoln Park. Well, it's actually within Lincoln Park. I must have already heard of this place before, because the name Lincoln Park rings a bell. Anyway, that doesn't even matter. As you may have noticed, the ballpark is conjoined with Ralph Stocker Stadium, that it shares the main building with, which gives the stadium a bit of an odd look, but overall it looks kinda cool, and I think it's the only one in this league with outfield seating. As for the backdrop, well, it's pretty spectacular, but that is par for the course in this neck of the woods as we've seen. Lindquist Field, home of the Ogden Raptors. Firstly, I just love how minor league baseball teams could not care less about uniformity. Just look at that. You can't build a baseball field here, there's not enough room. I just did, son. What do you make of that? Oh yeah, fair play, that looks alright. It has a fairly interesting brick and steel exterior with a bit of a 90s flair to it. It was built in the 90s. And I'm repeating myself, but the view, man, this one might be the best yet. But then you check which state it's in and there you go, it's in Utah. As I've learned, every stadium in Utah has a spectacular view. It must be the bricks they use. UC Health Park, home of the Rocky Mountain Vibes. It's located in the shadow of Pikes Peak, the famous mountain, but it doesn't face that direction due to the sun being quite stubborn and refusing to set in a different location. It is the highest professional ballpark in North America, at around 6,500 feet above sea level. So it's presumably a hitter's paradise. I'd imagine there have been many a baseball deposited into the nearby Sand Creek. I also quite like how the seeding bowl is being carved into the ground as well, which would have been necessary due to the uneven ground. It's a good one to end with. And those were the Pioneer League ballparks. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, have a good one.